Good evening. Good evening. How you guys doing? Hope you're having a great Saturday evening. I know you've had a great weekend so far. Man, it's been a pretty cool weekend. Just got back from dinner with my wife, and it's been cold, so I still haven't taken my sweater off. But tonight's live stream is going to be one where I'm just reflecting on the last few months. But there's a few key takeaways that this morning and really the last 6 months has taught me. And I was like, you know what? I would like to share that with my pre-PT family because I know that it will be very, very beneficial to a lot of students. So tonight, that's what I'm going to be sharing with you. Gary, how are you doing? Great to have you here, my friend. And if you guys are watching this live or on replay, feel free to say, comment hashtag team live or hashtag team replay. I'd love to say hello to you. But sometimes it doesn't show me the names, but all in all, thank you for being here. If you're new to the group, my name is once again Joseph. I'm one of the co-founders of Pre-PT Grind, helping you get into PT school without wasting time or money. And you are in the right place. Simple as that. Jen's, great to see you as well. Hope you're having a great weekend. Let's dive into it. So, really, so I'm talking about a 10K that I ran this morning, and a few key takeaways. But the honest truth is, I'm not a runner at all. Like I'm not a runner by any means whatsoever. To be honest with you, I think the only time that I was ever really consistently like athletic or doing like fitness consistently was when I was in high school because I played on the basketball team, and our coach just first of all, can y'all still hear me? Just let me know if you guys can hear me because I just want to make sure it's coming through. But in high school was the only time I was ever really consistent because I had to. You had the coach telling you what to do. You had your teammates like working out all the time. But that was it. Once I got into college, this is when I was a pre-PT like yourselves. I appreciate it, Andrew. Thanks, bro. So once I got into college, my health kind of went downhill. So I definitely was not as intentional about being healthy, whether it was eating, whether it was fitness, simply because I had never developed habits for it. And I'm going to bring this around for you as pre-PTs. There's a big learning point for you. Long story short, it led to a series of very bad habits where I would try things short term. It just wouldn't work. It's the story that everyone knows. But going into this year, I realized that I have a strong desire to serve as many people as possible, especially pre-PTs. And especially as a physical therapist, I have my patients, and I was also getting married this year, right? So I was like, yo, I have to be able to deliver for a lot of different people. And in order to do that, I need to be good because at the end of last year, I actually had an incident where like I pretty much ran my body into the ground in 2018 to the point where like my health crashed the first weekend in December. And I was like, yo, I can't really have that. So going into this year, I was like, you know what, like I want to try a few things that will help me get a little consistent. Started working out with my wife. She works out like 5 days a week, hit workout. She's a beast. But it wasn't until about 7 months ago that I started being very consistent, which really sucked, y'all. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like it was rough. Like I was getting to my car just like ready to die. But I over time, and I'm not gonna say I love it. But over time, like I started noticing that I started falling in love with the feeling you get right after you work out, to the point where I actually got really hooked to it, right? So lately it's been very consistent. But about 2 months ago, a friend of mine tells me, hey, Javier Carlin, he says, hey, there's a 10K in St. Pete, Florida, this date in November. Are you down? I said yes, mainly because I felt like it was really far away. It really wasn't that far. And that run happened today. So what I want to share with you guys today is lessons that I took from that run and how it applies to you as a pre-PT. Because if you haven't been following us for a while, then I want you to know that like my purpose and Casey's purpose is to help you absolutely crush it as an applicant. Knowing that you're running your own race, no pun intended, but really just helping you dominate as an applicant. Because for all of you, for the majority of you here, for you watching, if the desire is to get into PT school, then I know that you're like, hey, like what's my edge? What's the thing? What's up, Jordan? How you doing? Like the slight mistake that we make sometimes as pre-PTs is we think it's like one hack or one thing on PT Cast or one piece of advice that's really going to help us. And unfortunately, that's just not how it works. That's just not how life works in general. But that's definitely not how the pre-PT journey works. It's usually a series of actions that lead to you becoming a dominant applicant, like a beast of an applicant. And so as I was running today, y'all, it was my first time running 6.2 miles consistently. Like, I don't think I've ever ran more than 3-ish miles without stopping. So I was surprised, but I'll share with you more. But I'm going to share with you 5 key points tonight, 5 key things that I learned on this run and how they relate to you as a pre-PT. And if you're watching this live or if you're watching this on replay, if you wouldn't mind just commenting whatever the first, second, third, fourth, or fifth point is, just comment it below. It's just going to help you internalize it as well. But if I say it, then just comment it, say number 1, comment it, and then it'll also help people that come after you so that they're able to kind of look through, Cliff Notes and just lock it in. And so the first point is, experience always beats ability. So y'all can comment that below. So the first point that I want to share with you guys today is experience always beats ability. And as we were running, there was actually a gentleman there. We started about the same time, and absolutely blew me out of the water. But he was actually like running with a toddler, and a stroller toddler, and I was kind of talking to him later. But really, what happened was like he was running with a toddler, and he was good. Like, kept a solid pace. In my head, I was like, yo, like he might get tired later. He really didn't, and he was going. So that was the first guy. But the one that caught my attention was there was this lady, probably in her early 70s, who was running it. Literally ran it maybe like a 7-minute pace. And as I was watching her, I actually did not get a chance to speak with her. As I was watching her, I was like, yo, like this lady, like the consistency was through the roof. The consistency was through the roof. Like for most of the newbies, you could tell that at the very beginning, they would start like almost like full on sprinting, right? As if it was like a short run. But then you saw other people that clearly had done this many times before, and it did not matter the age, yo. It did not matter the age. It did not matter how athletic they looked. It did not matter like if they were heavy set or not. Like, it really did not matter whatsoever. It came down to experience. They knew what their body could handle. They knew the pace they had to go. They knew how to control it. And the most important thing is they had done it before, right? When you've done something before, you naturally have a confidence in yourself that you naturally just don't have when you haven't done it before. So if they've ran a 10K before, like we were running today, the honest truth is they know they can crush it. They know what their previous time was. They know how they took care of themselves the previous time. And the honest truth is that was the edge that they had this time around. So as I was watching those runners that you could tell, I was like, yo, like there's no way they're whooping me right now. But I respected it so much. I respected it because it showed that they had put in time to their craft. They had put in time to taking care of themselves, but they had done this before. So they knew exactly what to do to get the time that they wanted. Now, for that first point, how does it apply to you? The honest truth is, like, as I was watching them, I started like taking control of my pace. I started making sure that I wasn't like sprinting ahead, that I wasn't, getting overly excited that it was my first 10K, that I wasn't just like saying, hey, shoot, like I feel young, I feel good. I am young. So, but I feel good. I can, the honest truth is I was watching them and I was like, if they're pacing themselves, they don't seem to be in any rush. If someone runs past them, they weren't chasing after any other runner. They weren't chasing after anybody. Like if someone passed them, they were not chasing anybody else. They stayed at their consistent pace. And as we kept going, you would see the person that sprinted ahead of them would actually slow down or was potentially even walking. Y'all, this was happening like all day, like all morning long, all run long. But the people that had experience were very, very consistent. So as a pre-PT, you have to understand that experience is going to be your advantage. Now, there's two types of experiences as pre-PTs that we have to realize. Your personal one already. Every single person watching me right now or listening to this right now has a personal experience. Whether it's good or bad, it's still an experience. It's taught you something. It's developed you into a certain type of applicant, whether that's rejection, whether that is grades that you've struggled with, whatever it is. Like at the end of the day, like that is your experience. It's yours. And if you've had great experiences, likewise, like if it's studying experiences and you figured out your study strategies, that's great. But the honest truth is there are also other people that you can leverage their experiences. There are pre-PTs in this group that you can leverage their experiences, whether they are applying to the schools you've applied to, whether they're a year ahead of you, whether it's mentors like us, whether it's like other physical therapists that you know. Leverage their experiences, y'all. Experience collapsed time. And honestly, there's so much wisdom in experience that it actually allows you to pace yourself properly, kind of like me when I was running, to pace yourself properly so that by the time you're at the end of the race, you're like, whoa, I couldn't have done that without that. I can tell y'all right now, I've never ran more than 3 miles consistently. The only reason why I was able to hit 6.2 miles today, first time, I'm not a runner, like first time, was because I was watching the pros. I was watching them and I was using their experience to collapse my experience. Like I didn't need to have run, like I didn't need to run for the next 10 years to get to that point. Or I didn't need to do 10Ks before I figured out that, my pacing was important. All I did was watch them. So that first point is like as a pre-PT, like who are you watching? Do you have someone that you're watching? Because that will allow you to collapse your time so much. And it also saves you time when it comes time to apply. What's up, Damir? How you doing, brother? What's up, Ryan? Great to see y'all. I hope y'all are having a great Saturday evening. Number 2. This one's a very important one. The second point that I got from it was spectators are just spectators, whether they're for you or against you. Spectators are just spectators, whether they're for you or against you. Somebody needs to hear this point tonight. As I was running, most people were cheering people on. But the honest truth is, there might have been people, what's up, Dave? How you doing, boss? But there might have been people that were sitting on the side that were like, I could care less about this. And it's very easy to look at someone that doesn't look enthused to be there and be like, well, dang, do they am I just not doing well enough? If people aren't cheering loud enough, does that mean that I'm not running fast enough? Certain runners had more family members and friends. So when they would run past a certain checkpoint, they would get more screams, and then other runners would get nobody. Does that mean the runners that got nobody were less than? No. Spectators are just spectators. One of the most amazing things that I want y'all to understand is the fact that when it comes to your journey as a pre-PT, you have to be very careful about who you're giving too much weight in your journey. We give spectators way too much weight in our journey. We have spectators like our advisors. We have spectators like sometimes family members. We have spectators many times friends that really don't understand the journey that we're on, friends that don't really understand how painful it is to apply and reapply, friends that don't understand how frustrating it is to have to retake classes, friends that don't get the fact that you've been studying your butt off for the last 6 months for the GRE only to not get a 300, and now you're like, what do I do? But they're spectators. The honest truth is there are people that are also cheering for you. They're also spectators. But you have to understand something. The people that are the ones on the track, the people that are the ones running, you're the only thing that matters. And you have to start understanding that the honest truth is, like, unless someone is running like alongside you, they're not going to understand what you're feeling. Unless somebody's running alongside you, they're not going to understand why you're sore. Unless someone is running alongside you, they're not going to understand why when you get to the point where it's a little uneven, right? Or if you're running on sand, or if you're running on rocks, or if it's slanted, or like, they're not going to understand it unless they're out there with you. We give too much weight to people that are not on the field with us. We give too much weight to people that are not running with us. We give too much weight to people that have never ran it at all. And that's something that as a pre-PT, like, man, as a pre-PT, we have to be very, very careful. We have to be very, very careful that we don't give spectators more weight than they deserve. They are spectators. After the run today, I can almost guarantee you that none of those spectators, except for my wife and my good friend Javier, who knew who I ran with, like, no one else is going to remember me. It don't, like, because for them, they were just there to see a race. They probably knew one or two people. They were cheering them on, and that's it. Your advisor, same thing. Once you finish, I don't even think my advisor remembers me. It doesn't really matter. They're spectators. Don't give spectators more weight than they deserve. Do not, because it will steal so much energy from your experience. Honestly, you will lose a lot of focus, unfortunately. You'll actually throw yourself off, like, to the deep end. And it affects so many other things, like your mental health, y'all. Like, I just want y'all to understand, like, if you see somebody, and this is how you know that they're a spectator. If they have never ran the race that you're running, or they're not currently running it with you, they are a spectator. They might be a spectator that is for you, or they might be a spectator that is against you or indifferent, but they're a spectator. Don't give them too much weight. Run your dang race, and that's it. That's point number 2. Number 3, landmarks for motivation. Y'all listen, I was straight dying. Esther, how you doing? What's up, Warren? Like, landmarks for motivations, y'all. So I actually attempted a 10K. Well, kind of got close, but on Thursday night, my wife and I ran. She's a beast, y'all. Like, my wife is an absolute beast. She's amazing. She's an athlete. I can't even keep, but she's a school psych. Anyway, but I could, pretty much praise my wife all day long. But after we ran, I was having cramps. Like, I think we got through like the first mile, and I was like, yo, Elion, I'm dying. And usually I run like 3 miles, but after the first mile, I was cramping, and I was like, yo, I'm going to get destroyed this weekend when I run this like official 10K, because it was my first one. And so as we were beginning to run this morning, I was like, okay, all right, so what can I use to kind of push me? So I was like, okay, well, I know I can run at least a mile without stopping. So I did that. And then I said, well, I've ran 3 miles before without stopping. So I kind of got close to it. And then right before I got the 3 mile mark, I saw another good friend of mine kind of passing me, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, let me at least hit the 3 mile mark. Once I hit 3 miles, I actually kind of started coasting. I don't know if y'all are runners, the little like runner's zone. It's a weird place. I've never hit it before. Y'all, today was my first day hitting the runner's zone. I'm a little excited about that. I've never hit it. It was crazy. But all the while, even while I was hitting that, I kept looking for landmarks. Like, we were in the St. Pete area, so you have a lot of traffic lights. So I'd say, hey, the 5th traffic light, if I can get there, then I might take a little walk. Then I'd get there and I'd say, well, I still feel okay. Well, so, okay, that stop sign right there, I'm going to get there, and then, okay, that cop car right there, I'm going to get to that cop car, and then I get even warmer. Oh my goodness, we're already 1.5 miles in. Great, okay, so we're going to turn here. Okay, let me at least get to 2 miles. So I have my watch on. I'm like, okay. So I'll get to 2 miles. Okay, great, cool. All right, I hit 2 miles. I'm like, well, we could hit 2.5. I'm feeling okay. Why waste this zone, right? So we got there. Then I was like, you know what? Might as well make it halfway through, 3.1 miles. So I'm barely getting there. As I got through, cool, we got to 3.1, and I was like, man, I've never ran longer than this consistently. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens when we get close to 4 miles. got to 4 miles and I was like, okay, shoot, I only got a little over 2 miles. Let's freaking go. Maybe I can start walking now. Then I saw Javi pass me again. I was like, okay, all right, I got to catch up with Javi. So I'm going to try to get to 5 miles. Once I got to 5 miles, well, at that point, I was like, well, I just want to be able to tell my wife that I did this without stopping. so I'm just going to go for it. But the honest truth is I set landmarks for motivation. So as a pre-PT, now to bring it back to you, as a pre-PT, it's very important to set up landmarks to be able to keep yourself going, right? A lot of times we just go into this thing as a massive, like thing without any real game plan. We say, hey, I'm just going to apply. I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to do interviews because a lot of you are doing interviews right now. I'm just going to do the GRE. I'm just going to study for it. I'm just going to, y'all, like if we don't have landmarks, then there's no way to know, one, how far we've come, but really number two, there's no way to keep ourselves motivated. Your landmarks might actually not be academic. Your landmarks might be, hey, I have a crazy week ahead of me. So I'll tell you what. So you tell yourself, hey, I'm actually going to set up a dinner for myself on Wednesday night. Y'all, I do this all the time. Like I'm going to set a dinner up for myself on Wednesday night. And you can tell yourself, okay, at this time, if I can complete A, B, C, and D by Wednesday evening, I'm going to treat myself to a dinner. So you actually motivate yourself to crush it. Wednesday night, you do your dinner. It's like your little celebratory thing. And now you're like, okay, cool. I have another landmark. Maybe it's the weekend. Maybe you're meeting up with some friends on Saturday. Maybe you're going to an event. Maybe you're going to a concert, whatever it is. Have another landmark. But if you don't have those landmarks, it's going to be very hard for you to push, especially when ish gets very hard. When you have semesters that have a lot going on, when you're applying while retaking classes, while trying to study for the GRE, while working 2 jobs, y'all, it becomes very, very difficult. This is real life. Like we all have very different scenarios, but the honest truth is if we don't have those landmarks, it becomes extremely hard to really crush it. And most of us end up giving up along the way because we don't realize that should have been the framework we should have set up from the beginning. Landmarks. So that's the third point that I got from today. Number 4. Well, the honest truth is like the mental game is everything. I'll be honest with you guys. Like I'm gonna say this and then y'all can interpret it as you wish. One thing that I know for sure is every single time I've ever ran, right? And I'm using running mainly because for those of y'all that are joining me now, ran my first 10K today, and I'm kind of teaching y'all my main takeaways. But every time I've ran, like I was reflecting on it now, like whether it's around my house, whether it period. Every time I've stopped myself from running, it's because I was it's because I was anticipating that I was getting close to the point where I should already be taking a break. I don't know if y'all understood what I just said. So what I mean is I usually, now reflecting, I usually don't stop because I'm tired. I usually stop because I'm like, well, this feels like the time where I should be stopping. So I almost convince myself that I am tired, but I'm really not. And it's always kind of left me borderline unsatisfied with running, because today was the first time I've ever actually been satisfied with running, because there's a part of me that always knew I never figured out what my limit was. I never knew. I never knew what my limit was. I didn't know what I was really capable of. I had never tapped into it. I actually got scared right before it. And today was the first time when I realized, shoot, I can actually run 6 miles. Oh my gosh. And then my wife is trying to convince me to do a half marathon, which I somehow agreed to. But anyway, so the honest truth is most of us as pre-PTs don't actually know what we're capable of. As applicants, when it comes to classes, we usually go in defeated. When I go to retake a class, it's like, hey, I'll try to read. Oh my goodness, Joseph, I gotta see again when I retook it. The GRE is the biggest one that I see this. The GRE is David, I'm going to do it. So the GRE is the biggest one that I see this. And it's like, oh my goodness. When I'm taking the GRE, I don't know, Joseph. I'm trying, man. It's just I'm just not good at standardized tests. It's just not going to work out well for me. Well, the honest truth is you go in not realizing what you're fully capable of. And usually what happens is when we get close to tapping into what we're capable of, we usually self-sabotage, which means we get in our own way. So for me, with running, it was me getting to a point where I was like, I feel like this is where my limit should be. So I'm just going to stop. So I never actually tapped into it. But what's funny is that zone that I was telling y'all about was what I hit right after I pushed past that wall. That's actually where I got like into this zone where like it's almost like your body just gets really fluid and you feel like you're almost like flying. It's weird. It's weird. If you've never ran, I want you, like, if you want to give it a shot, you can. But I want you to take this point and apply it to your journey as a pre-PT. The honest truth is like most of us stop ourselves right before we get into a flow where we absolutely dominate it. If it's a class, we usually defeat ourselves after the first exam. If it's the GRE, we defeat ourselves after the first practice test. And then we let that carry itself through. And then now we go in feeling like, well, it doesn't really matter what I do. It just is what it is. Maybe PT is not for me. You guys see how this becomes a very defeated mindset? Your mindset is so key. Like I know for some, mindset might seem like something that's very like flighty or like, y'all, it's the most important thing. It's the most important thing. I can't tell y'all like how many pre-PTs I've spoken with who are struggling with not just their mindset, but even just mental health. Like I've struggled with a lot of anxiety. And so just listening to what other students are experiencing, I'm like, man, this is the most important part of it. And if we miss it, then it becomes, what's up, Jeremy? What's up, Kaylee? Like if we miss it, then we ultimately lose a whole lot of this other stuff. And we spend way too much time thinking that it's all about PT cast. It's all about the interview. It's all about this. It's all about that. That's all strategy and all that stuff will not change. But the honest truth is this right here has to be the key to get you to push past the zone that's extremely difficult. And right before you get into that zone that I was telling y'all about, it's when it's the hardest. It's when it's the most exhausting. It's when I'm feeling sore. It's when I feel the most stiff. As a pre-PT for you, it's right before you get your acceptance letter. It's when you might have gotten maybe one rejection letter. Maybe you've gotten waitlisted. You're getting ready to pull the plug. Maybe you're applying next year and you're like, man, like I've been trying to retake classes. I've been trying to do this, but it's getting overwhelming. I have to take care of my family. I have to do this. I have a job. Oh my goodness, Joseph, it's getting too like. I just took my GRE for the third time and it did not go the way I wanted to. Well, the honest truth is you might be stopping right before you hit the zone. Right before you hit that area where you're like, wow, things are actually moving in my direction. Talk to every other student that has gone through that program right there, the accepted system. They all had it. Students that had been rejected 2 years in a row. Students that had extremely low GPAs. Students that were 5, 7, 8 years out of school, so they had to go back and almost like start from square one because they were like, man, like I have classes that schools won't even look at. Y'all, listen, the mental game is critical. And as I was running, I was like, yo, this is so real. This is so real. And my ability to run those 6.2 miles was not because, I mean, yes, I have been working on my fitness. Yes, my endurance is better. But the honest truth is, it's because I let this, like I silenced a lot of the false beliefs that I had early on in the run. And then the last thing that I learned today is the power in picturing what happens when I crush it. I don't know if y'all do that. The power in picturing what happens when, notice I did not say if, when I crush it. The point where it got real fun today. Now, don't get me wrong. I am sore as heck right now. I'm sore. I'm so sore right now. But the honest truth is the part where it got like pretty spectacular was right when I got to that 5th mile. And I was literally contemplating walking because I was like, man, I've already finished 5 miles. I might as well walk for a little bit, treat myself, and then go. And then I was like, I actually want to tell my wife, who's a beast of an athlete, I want to be able to tell her that I didn't stop once. And so I started picturing, like I literally, it's weird. Like I started picturing her excitement when she heard that and how proud she would have been of me and, because she's my wife. But the honest truth is like I started picturing it. I started picturing me telling her. I started picturing me like running up to her like, I pictured it. And I was like, no. I want that moment. So I kept going. I kept going. The honest truth is, if I pictured her saying, oh, well, that's nice, let's go home, whatever. Well, the honest truth is, I would have started walking. I would have. But isn't that the same thing with you as a pre-PT? Do you picture what would happen? What happens when you dominate? Have you pictured the day that you get accepted into PT school? Do you picture it frequently? I had to. Shoot. The honest truth is, the point where it's the most critical to picture that is when you're in the home stretch. For me, it was the last mile of my 10K today. That's when it was the most critical to picture what would happen if I crushed it. Sorry, when I crushed it. And that right there is what kept me going. That right there is what kept my pace up. That right there is what allowed me to increase my stride. Y'all, like my last 3/4 mile was probably my fastest stride of the whole race. That's what allowed me to pick it up. That's what allowed me when I saw the finish line to say, yo, I ain't walking. I felt like I had deserved to walk by that time, but I wasn't walking. I'm gonna go. And the honest truth is, as a pre-PT, we hold ourselves back because we don't picture it. We don't see it. Actually, we do picture something. Most of the time, we picture what happens if it goes wrong. Listen to what I just told you about mine. Like, if I had pictured my wife saying, oh, okay, that's nice, whatever. Like, I don't really care. The honest truth is, I would have not been motivated. I would have not been inspired to put in the freaking work to get across the finish line in the time that I did. And as a pre-PT, it's actually not in your best interest to keep playing the worst possible scenario in your head. How many times do you play that in your head? How many times do you play the scenario of you getting rejected again? That's why you're so scared to reapply. That's why you're so scared to hear back from schools. That's why you're so anxious about this process. Because you keep playing the worst case scenario and it's showing in your actions. It's showing in your pace. It's showing in your cadence. It's showing in what you do during that last stretch. And the honest truth is, that is what makes the great applicants from the not so great applicants. They picture themselves winning. They picture the day they get accepted. They know it's coming. They can taste it because it's real. It's going to happen. But the actions they take leading up to it are what allow it to become a real reality. That's what allows them to lock in even harder. That's what allows them to start, maybe even their distractions, blocking them off. That's what allows them to say, hey, yo, listen, I've been dealing with a lot of anxiety. I need to actually take care of it. Whether that's seeing a professional, whether that's changing certain things about how I do things, I need to change my habits so that as a pre-PT, I can actually become a dominant applicant. Y'all, I want y'all to unleash your inner beast. But you will never unleash your inner beast unless you start thinking, hey, yo, what happens when I get into PT school? Because that right there is the secret to every action you will take between this second when you're hearing me right now and the moment you get your acceptance letter. And I could ask you how bad you want it. I know you all want it badly, but the honest truth is, I don't know how many people are willing to go through the process of picturing that. And the honest truth is, it's actually the hardest step. It's hard to picture something that you're absolutely terrified might never happen. It's hard. It's hard to picture myself. The honest truth is, if I started limping, if I started cramping, it would have been very hard to picture myself finishing that race without stopping once. But the honest truth is, as I kept picturing it, I had to work harder at it. I had to say, yo, my wife is going to be so, yo, and she was. Everything I pictured happened as it should have, and it was worth every freaking moment. It was worth every, but as a pre-PT, I want you to have that moment as well. So picture it. Picture what your parents would say. The ones that have invested in you all the way through your schooling, from grade school to high school, college, your siblings, your cousins, your best friend, your significant other, your spouse. What would that moment mean to them? What will that moment mean to you? Can you taste it? Can you smell? Can you smell what's for dinner that night when you get accepted? What's going to be your victory meal? How are you going to celebrate? How are you going to feel? Because that moment is what all of us are working for. And as a current physical therapist, I can tell you right now, second to the day I got engaged, second to the day and the day I got married, it's probably one of the best days of my life. And if y'all can do that, you will be able to tap in to your inner beast. Every single one of you has it. Every single one of you has it. Very few pre-PTs ever really like tap into it, but every single one of you has it. It's just a choice. So those 5 points once again are: experience always beats ability. Use landmarks. Oh, well, spectators are just spectators. That one was important. Spectators are just spectators, regardless of whether they're for you or against you. Landmarks for motivation are absolutely critical to helping you crush it. The mental game is one of the most important pieces, and I broke that down. If you guys are watching this later, you might want to go back. And then lastly, you have to picture what happens when you crush it, because that's what will improve your pace. That's what will lead to the moment where you can say, hey, I finally got accepted into PT school. The dream I've had for months, for years, is finally becoming a reality. And the day you get there, I want to be there too. I want to be there to celebrate with you. I want to be there to be excited with you. I want to be there to get hyped with you, because the honest truth is, it's going to be one of the most significant days of your entire career. Y'all, this is one of the most amazing professions in healthcare. And I want y'all in it. If you want in, I want y'all in. And that's it. That's it. I hope y'all found that helpful. If that was helpful, great. If it wasn't, I hope you were entertained. But the honest truth is, I wanted to share all of that with you because as I was running, I was like, man, like I want to use this experience to inspire some of our students, some of our pre-PT winners, because y'all are the future of the profession. And I'm proud of every single one of y'all. Keep pushing, keep crushing it, and have a blessed one. Much love.